Off the shelf. Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I am super excited to share with you this month's deep dive segment. We have a new fiction book here. This is Etta, Invincible by Rhys Eshman. And this is hopefully going to be the start of a series. We'll see. This is the first book that the author has written for kids. And I just wanted to tell you about it because I'm really excited. This is about a 12-year-old girl named Etta, and she has what she calls loud days and quiet days. And she used to kind of like the way that they felt different, but now she's not so sure. She's feeling quiet more and more often, and her mom is acting kind of strange, and she and her family live in Chicago, and all of a sudden there are these strange storms blowing through that have purple clouds and really heavy rain. And Etta loves working on her comic book that she writes and draws about Invincible Girl, who is an unstoppable hero. She never worries about anything. She's super brave, and Etta really wishes that she could be more like Invincible Girl. And one day at the bus stop, she and her new classmate discover a mysterious magical train at the station in their neighborhood. And Etta doesn't really know if she should be amazed, terrified, how should she feel about this. But then her beloved dog, her golden doodle, who's named Louisa May Alcott, runs on board the train and disappears. So she and her new friend have to follow and see where the train goes and hopefully rescue Louisa May Alcott. And this is where the book gets really exciting to me. They travel through each train car where there's a new kind of puzzle or riddle that they have to solve to continue through the train and find Louisa May. So it's kind of exciting. There's some pretty high stakes as they work to solve these puzzles. And the issue is that these purple clouds, that is the train's magic malfunctioning and spreading those around the city. And they're called the fear, and it kind of affects people in negative ways. So hopefully Etta and her friend can stop the train from malfunctioning, get it repaired, and prevent that from happening. So I am super excited. If this book sounds at all interesting to you, feel free to place it on hold or stop into the library to get a copy. And this is Etta Invincible once again. Oh, and I wanted to share too, this is kind of cool. There are, it's a chapter book, but there are parts of it that are Etta's graphic novel that she draws. So every so often you'll kind of get to see what she is drawing when in her Invincible Girl comics. So give it a shot if this sounds interesting. Etta Invincible by Rhys Eshman, and hope you enjoy if you do.
Hi there, my name is Ellie, and I have a confession to make. I have a really hard time reading nonfiction materials. I should say most nonfiction. It usually doesn't matter though. Even if it's something that I am really interested in learning about, I have a hard time staying engaged with most nonfiction books. So if you're anything like me, I have a graphic novel that might help if you struggle with the same thing. These are the science comic books. They're all relatively short, they're not too long, but yet they are packed with information about the subject the book is about. It's a series, so there's a ton of them. This one, for example, is about the brain, and a lot of them have little stories that go along with it. Like this one, for example, is about Fahima, who is a girl who gets kidnapped by a mad scientist who wants to steal her brain. And through her getting kidnapped, she is learning all sorts of stuff about the history of the brain and the science of the brain. And it's really engaging and fun, and you learn a lot, but it's still a story. And you root for your main character to get out. Obviously, they go through the types of intelligences. Each book has a glossary in the very end. So if you get caught up on a word that you don't know, you can look it up. I really enjoy this series, and they have so many different ones. Like even just here, I have one on sharks. I have one on wild weather, which is about a meteorologist who's trying to prep his town for a snowpocalypse that's on the way. And they also have ones on coral reefs, dinosaurs, volcanoes, flying machines, plagues, trees, the solar system, polar bears, and way more. There's a ton in this series. So if you like nonfiction or if you like graphic novels, this is a perfect series for you. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and I would like to tell you about some really great nature books that I pulled off the shelf. These books are about nature, but they are also about specifically your place in nature and what you can learn from nature and how you can get out into nature and observe and see what's around you. They're all beautiful. They're all amazing. The first one I want to tell you about is called The Signs of Nature. This is written by Craig Caudill and illustrated by Carrie Shyrock. And even the front page of this book is so beautiful. What this book tells you about is how you can read things in nature to learn about the world around you, things that you might not have known. There are instructions in the beginning about how to be a good navigator and what you might need as tools before you set off to learn from the world. Essentially, you want to use your senses. You want to look, you want to listen, you want to smell and touch. This book tells you how to predict a rain shower by connecting with your senses and mostly just smelling the air and watching the leaves. This was one of my favorite pages, because I think it's something that I could so easily do. I also enjoyed learning how to find my way by using a puddle and learning how to watch a huddle of sheep to forecast the weather. The next nature book that I want to share with you is called Rewilding, Bringing Wildlife Back Where It Belongs. And this is by David A. Stern and Chiara Fedele. This book talks about reintroducing wildlife into its native environment, wildlife that for different reasons has been diminished or displaced from those areas. And it's full of projects all over the world that are doing this. It talks about bigger animals like the wild horses in Mongolia that are the only true wild horses in the world. It talks about smaller species and keystone species and how all these species have a place in the ecosystem. There are also some risks to rewilding that this book gets into, and some different ways people have looked at rewilding, including revitalizing species that were long ago extinct. There are some great resources in the back for what you can do to help these projects. It was really interesting to learn more about bringing wildlife back where it belongs. The next book is called The Wilds of the United States, The Animals Survival Field Guide. This is by Alexander Vidal. And this book feels like a natural history museum in a book to me. It talks about how animals survive, and it goes through the United States. It shows you how it follows the map, and it shows you the different survival skills that it is mapping and tracing in animals with a really convenient key that has all these symbols. So you can look for the symbols and you can say, here's an instance of athletics in animals. Here's an instance of an animal using their toolkit. And then each page will take you to a different place, like the forests in Canada, the frozen forests, or flooding forests in woodlands in the south, where I learned that despite their solid appearance, 9-banded armadillos are strong swimmers and can even hold their breath underwater for 6 minutes. I didn't know that before I read this book, and I feel like I'm a better person for knowing it. This book is filled with little facts like that, and if you are someone like me who loves to learn facts, you will love this book. I spent hours with this book, and I think you could too, traveling from the ocean to the forest, coast to coast, to learn about how all the different animals survive in the wild. There were animals in here I didn't even know that we had in this country, so I hope that you pull this one off the shelf. The last book I have to include, because it's just so good, is called Nature's Treasures, and this is Tales of More Than 100 Extraordinary Objects from Nature by Ben Hoare. And this book is filled with animals, plants, minerals. It's divided into sections by those things. There are some drawings, there are some actual photographs, and those things are paired side by side. One of my favorite things I learned in this book was about the squid beak and how strong it is and how sharp it is and how amazing it is. And I'm not going to tell you more about the squid beak. I think you should read this book if you want to learn about it, but it is fascinating and you do want to learn about it. That was just one of the many things that I got from Nature's Treasures. All of these books are so great, and you could easily spend a day looking through any one of them. So I recommend that you pull at least one off the shelf.
Well, thank you so much for watching this month's episode of Off the Shelf. We hope that you found some titles that are interesting to you that you might want to check out from the library. Ellie shared with us the science graphic novels, which are fabulous. I think that it's so helpful to have a visual aid along with text when you're learning about a concept that might be new to you. So those are just an awesome way to learn about different scientific things. And Lucy shared with us some nature-based nonfiction with beautiful illustrations in those titles. And I just loved the idea of being able to predict a rainstorm or watch sheep, and of learning about rewilding animals is just really, really cool. And that's happening all over the world. And I shared with us the Etta Invincible title, a new fiction, fantasy, sci-fi book that you might be interested in reading that maybe we'll see will be the start of a series. So thanks again for watching, and we hope that you tune in next month to see what fun titles for grades 3 through 5 we have to share with you.